Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome aboard Spill the Reeds Airlines. This is your flight attendant, Caitlin, speaking, welcoming you aboard this nonstop service flight to San Francisco, or Frisco, as we locals like to call it. I will be coming through the cabin shortly with some complimentary champagne flutes to celebrate our 1 year anniversary flying through these booktube skies. If we have any nervous flyers with us today, well, don't worry, because our very capable Captain Tishka has got all four paws on the job. And it has come to my attention that we have a very special passenger with us today. Is there a Linda on this plane? Yes, Linda over there in 12B. Miss Linda has just logged 1 million miles with Spill the Reeds Airlines. So everybody raise your flutes to Linda. Go ahead, Linda, honey. Give us a wave. Linda. Oh my gosh, what is she doing? Linda, no! Stop! Tishka! We have a 307, Tishka! Save us, Tishka! Ah! Hey book friends! It's Caitlin and Tishka here from Spill the Reeds. I hope you enjoyed that little intro. I'll take my Oscar in the form of a like and subscribe. Tishka will take a treat. So today I'll be reviewing Sky Daddy by Kate Folk, which I know it's kind of hard to believe, but I'm pretty sure this is one of my favorite books that I've read this year, if not my favorite. And I'm going to try really hard to explain this to you, like why it was so good. And also, I feel like I'm going to be naturally like on defense because I feel a responsibility to like properly convey what this book is actually about, because when you hear about like what this book is about, it will probably shock you. I don't know how it couldn't shock you, and I know some people won't be able to get past the premise, and that's fine. But if you have similar book tastes to me, you might actually end up loving it just like me. So what is this book about? I will tell you about what it's about, why I liked it so much, some similar book recommendations. I'll be reading some samples of this book. You guys, this is just like an indicator of how much I like this book, because I just highlighted nonstop. Here's like all of the segments that I took pictures of. I read this on Libby on my Kobo, but I really feel like I should get a hard copy of this book because I liked it so much. I will also share my most infamous plane travel story because I have a really good story to share if you want to laugh at my misfortune. And yeah, I hope I can convince at least one friend to give this book a try. Before I get started, I think I must have sweaty hands. Good soup, Tishka. Before I get started, let me just explain like what kind of book is this? Because when you hear that it's like a book about a woman who is sexually obsessed with airplanes and dreams of perishing in a plane crash, yeah, you're probably going to think this sounds like a crazy book, but you might just like put it together with all the other kind of like crazy sentient books that are kind of like trending on Amazon right now. Like, what is it? There's this book called like Unhinged, where a woman, it's like an erotic book about a door. I'm not like an expert in this topic of sentient romances, but I do dabble. And I've actually read the entire Light-Hearted Utensil romance series. The author sent them to me. So yeah, these books are like fun, and they, uh, they're good for what they are, like a laugh, I guess, like a palate cleanser, but that's not like this book at all. I would categorize Sky Daddy as like dark comedy, literary fiction. The most similar book to it that I've read recently would be Beautyland. Um, yeah. And there's something else that I want to make clear. This book is not about like the T word. I can't say that book on YouTube, but like she isn't going to bring a plane down like forcefully. So like I don't want people to think that I'm like glamorizing someone who would do something like that. That's actually against Linda's moral code. Um, yeah, so now that that's out of the way, let's talk a little bit more about what this book is about. So Linda is she lives in San Francisco and she works for a video platform. She moderates comments, and her whole life, like, she really is kind of like a little bit one dimensional, but it's weirdly like okay. Like her sole motivation, everything is about her love and lust and desire for airplanes. So she doesn't see them as like objects. She sees them as like these sentient beings that have feelings and souls. And she just feels connected to them. And she believes that it is her destiny to marry an airplane. And for her, that means that the airplane would also like recognize her and love her and decide to crash with her inside of it. So she just flies like I think like once a week or once a month just in hopes that like one of these airplanes will choose her. So it felt kind of obvious to me that mental health was a theme in this book and that you should check in with your friends to like make sure they're doing okay. And the biggest theme for me was like a beautiful thing it is to have friends who you can be yourself with and who will accept you for who you are, but also like look out for you. I won't go like further without giving like spoilers away, but if you would like to see a spoiler version, let me know in the comments and I'll think about doing that. I see a lot of one-star reviews on Goodreads for this book. A lot of them seem to be from people who are like, oh my gosh, like she's so crazy. Like, why would anyone want to read a book where like she's so unhinged? And like for me, this is something that I enjoy about a book. Like, I want it to take me out of my day to day and like just wow you and make you really shocked. I actually took a selfie during one of like the key moments, and I would like categorize the expression on my face as squealing in pleasant horror. So to me, that's kind of like the vibe of this book. So the author did such a good job at like making the whole attraction to planes thing like feel pretty normal after a while, which is kind of surprising. Like we hear about the whole like origin of her attraction, which is basically like she almost got in a plane crash when she was a teenager, and then since then like her obsession with planes has turned like sexual. But the way that she writes about it is just so interesting. Like she'll call them planes like big fellow or like handsome fellow. um, and here's just like a something that I really enjoyed. A passage. It says, "I spotted N108DQ through the window. A punctual fellow. He'd arrived from Vancouver a few minutes early. I blushed as I beheld his handsome face. My eyes locked with his windscreen, in which I detected a hint of recognition. I mouthed a greeting to him, then turned away shyly. My love life consisted of a string of one-night stands. Karina would disapprove were my date with a man rather than a plane. But no man could do for me what a plane could. What man could propel himself to a speed of 150 knots before lifting us to an altitude of 37,000 feet? What man could carry me across continents and seas, all while keeping me warm and oxygenated inside his aluminum torso? No man I'd ever chanced to meet. I mean, isn't that kind of convincing? Like, that's just, I don't know. She does such a good job at like explaining the interest in planes. Sometimes like it could even be a little bit romantic. Uh, like here's this part. She's on the plane. She says, "Flight attendants started down the aisle with the galley cart. I closed my eyes, pretending to be asleep, so I wouldn't be disturbed. I imagined I was alone with N108DQ. No pilots in the cockpit. Transponder switched off. Lovers on the run. We'd fly into the night until his fuel was spent." Also, it's worth mentioning if you can read this on a plane, I think that you should, because I actually read the first third of this book while I was on a flight, and it definitely like enhanced the experience. Like I was able to like look around the plane and like kind of like imagine that I was with Linda and like watching her do everything that's in this book. Yeah, a little bit nerve-wracking, but it's worth a try. Something that I really liked in this book was the human relationships that she develops, even though like that's something she really struggles with because she is such a misfit. She has like social anxiety, doesn't really know how to act, but she's very good at her job. Um, by the way, the her like work life is really interesting. It kind of felt like I was watching an episode of The Office. I'll just be like throwing up different passages on the screen. I won't read all of them out loud, but if you're like interested, you can just pause and read them. But it's just like wildly entertaining reading about her work life. Um, Also, this book takes place in and around like San Francisco State University, which is where I actually went to college. So I just got the biggest kick out of like reading like about my old stomping grounds. Like she and her friend Karina, who I will talk about after this, like they hang out in like the shopping center that I worked in at the Trader Joe's. She goes to like the location I worked at, and she also lived in the Outer Sunset, which is also where I lived. And of course, like I've been to SFO airport like a million times. So that was just super entertaining for me to like read read this book and be like thinking about my old college days. I wonder if the author went to SF State. I'm not sure. But anyway, this friend, Karina, I just like loved this part of the book. Like the female friendship was really like almost my favorite part of the book. Like after like all the comedy. All right, you guys, Tishka has migrated down to my feet, where I think he will probably be for the rest of this video. Let me talk about Karina, who is kind of Linda's portal into the world. She works with Karina at the moderation center, and this woman just like kind of like helps her get into like the fold of like being with other humans. And a big part of this book is like Karina bringing her to hang out with this group of women who do these um, manifestation like vision boards. And Linda thinks that like she can speed up her like destiny with the planes by putting like pictures of planes and stuff like on her vision board, and she really wants us to like help, and things actually start kind of like happening from her vision board. So Linda starts like really believing in the power of this board, and that's when the book starts to feel a little bit dangerous and suspenseful because you just like have no idea how it's going to end. But I just like loved Karina so much. Like I really liked watching Linda like finally have a friend because she's always been a misfit. And here's a really good passage. Because like Karina is like this like beautiful like fun girl, and Linda is just kind of like surprised that she's paying her any attention. So she says, I hadn't been included in such rituals of feminine comradeship as shopping trips and makeovers due to my habit of lingering near gas pumps and staring with eerie fixation at the sky. In elementary school, my friends had been the other two weird girls, Abigail and Mira. We gravitated towards each other like mice huddling for warmth. The popular girls had seemed like a different species, and we observed them from a distance with awe and fear. I assumed Karina had been a popular girl, and I was honored that she wanted to teach me the ways of her people. Karina is just so funny. Here she is, like picking up Linda to go to a club. After 20 minutes, the Honda pulled up with Anthony driving. Karina hopped out wearing a tight sequin dress whose hemline hit just below her labia. A layer of cosmetic sparkles covered her skin so that in the salty street lamps she glimmered like a healthy trout. She threw her arms around me. Yay! I'm so glad you're coming! One thing I loved about the writing, other than like how funny and like just like well done it is, I really liked how perceptive Linda is and like how she manages to like get through social situations, even when it's kind of a struggle for her. Like there's this person in the book, this man. I won't talk too much about it, but he's super annoying. And she is like talking to the reader, and she says, I imagined his mental state as a beach ball I had to keep aloft with careful jobs. Like she just knows what she has to do, and she like includes the reader in on this like internal conversation of like, like how should I act right now? Because she really does kind of act like an alien, which is why it reminded me so much of Beautyland. You guys, I haven't talked about Beautyland on my channel yet. I think because I read it over like winter holidays, so like I wasn't making videos on vacation. But that book I think is the most similar to Sky Daddy because the main character, Adina, she believes that she is an alien sent to Earth in order to take notes on humans and send the information back to her superiors. And so the whole thing is it just reminds me so much of Sky Daddy, of Linda like trying to exist in the world when she feels like a total misfit, completely different from everyone else. And that really reminded me of Adina. It also reminded me of Convenience Store Woman, a Japanese book I read last year. In that one, the protagonist works at a convenience store, and it's like her total obsession. Like everyone thinks that she's really weird because she's like a full grown woman and she's been working in this like kind of like student job for something like 15 years, I think. And she does some really strange things. Other books it's similar to, maybe like Big Swiss or Blob. Yeah, if you have other book recommendations that seem like they would be a similar vibe to this one, definitely let me know in the comments. Yeah, I really hope that some of my friends read this book. I guess it's time to tell you my plane story. Okay, so back in, I think, like 2016, 2017, I was flying out of Turkey, Antalya, and I had a flight. And basically, I was like told to take the metro and that like I couldn't miss it. Like you just go one way. I was like alone, so I was like, all right, whatever. Like I didn't have a smartphone. I get on the metro and like I look for the stop that would be like airport. Like I thought it would be obvious. Everyone made it seem like it was really obvious. And like there was no stop that said like airport, or there was no icon. It just did not seem apparent at all. And I don't know how I was like the only tourist on board. I think it was off season. But I like asked people around me, I was like, oh, like where is like which one is the airport? And like somehow no one knew the word airport. And I was like, airport. And to this woman, I was like, airport. And like I did this and like I had a giant backpack on. I'm like, airport. And she was like, ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. And she pointed to like the last stop. And in my mind, I was like, okay, the airport is often like the last stop on public transport. Like that's normal. And so yeah, the metro's starting to like be only like people who are in this kind of like uniform, like normal. Okay. So I get out and it's like very like quiet, and I see like a structure in the distance with a lot of these tiny planes sticking out of it. And I was like, what? Like what is this budget airline that I booked a flight on? Because like what the heck, like these planes are tiny. And so like I get to the front and it's like closed, and so I'm like knocking on the window. Oh my god, so cringe. And like some guy comes out with it, he's like, we're closed. And I was like, oh my god, like I have a flight in like an hour. And he was like, this is a historic plane museum, this is not an airport. And I was like, what the, like, are you kidding me? So yeah, I missed my flight. It turns out that it was like an expo center. And so they had this historic plane thing. And like, I don't know, the woman was either just messing with me or she thought that I was like on my way to go see the historic plane expo. Like, of course. So yeah, that's my plane story. After this, I will never forget the Turkish word for airport, which is what it said on the metro, havalimanı. So don't you ever forget it. Anyway, that's my story. Um, Thanks for watching this video today. My next video will be probably my May wrap up, so I actually have a little sneak peek if you would like to see what books I read in May.
What would you like for breakfast, Johnny? Muffins. Sexy airplane muffin. Lesbian clown muffin. A lazy grifter muffin. Sex and disabilities muffin. Contract spouse muffin. Freaky doppelganger muffin. Gollum meets Lana Del Rey muffin.
All right, folks, that's all for today. See you guys next week. If you would like to give Tishka his dental treat, hit that like button. Ooh, it's a bird. It's a plane. It's a dental treat. Ah, yeah. Let me know in the comments if you are planning on reading Sky Daddy. I would love to know, or if you've already read it, what your thoughts are on it. See you guys later.